There we go. Hi, everyone. I'm David Spraggs from the DroneSense Customer Success Team, and thank you so much for attending the second webinar in our biweekly basic training series of 2025. And I have the opportunity and the honor today to cover the OpsHub 101. And I'm going through the attendee list. We have some new names, which is fantastic. I'm happy to see you here, as well as some familiar names. And again, welcome back. And I always hope that you're going to glean a little bit of new information. So thanks so much for being with us today. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So, you all, could you please confirm, can you see the DroneSense logo in the PowerPoint presentation? Excellent. Thank you. You guys are so kind to me today. So thanks again. So again, we are discussing OpsHub 101. So our agenda today, we're going to do a basic walkthrough or overview of the OpsHub environment in web. We're also going to talk very briefly about the new OpsHub mobile application that is currently available for iOS devices. We're going to talk about creating a mission. We're going to talk about joining a mission with a shared mission code. We're going to talk about how to create a magic video link. We're also going to talk about some considerations of how we want to best use that magic video link. Probably the most important or exciting part for me today is we have the opportunity to cover some brand new features in OpsHub that some of you may not be aware of. We're going to cover a feature layer overview, the OpsHub Contact Manager, and we're just going to go through again some other features, and then we're going to have a Q&A session at the tail end. So first of all, you may ask, what is OpsHub? So as we think about the DroneSense ecosystem, OpsHub is part of this triangle, one part being Airbase, which is the back end of the web environment. That's all of the flight logging and the pilot logging and the hardware logging and the maintenance and everything that our system can do, the reporting aspect. And then we have the pilot application, again, how the pilot interfaces with the DroneSense application. And then finally, we have the OpsHub environment. So Airbase, OpsHub, and that pilot experience within the application create, again, what we call this kind of triple threat, as it were, of the DroneSense ecosystem. So again, the three main pillars of our system. And let's go ahead and we're going to create a new share. Stand by. Let's get this up. We're going to go full screen on that. And whoop, stand by. Sorry about that. All right, excellent. So you all should be seeing Operations Hub. And let's just go ahead and start at the very beginning. So I'm going to click on what we lovingly call the hamburger in the upper left-hand side of the screen. We're going to go back to the dashboard. Okay, as we navigate to the dashboard, we know this is the home view of DroneSense. When you log into your account at web.dronesense.com, you're going to be here in the dashboard. Now, as we've upgraded and are continuing to upgrade every single aspect of this web environment, we basically have the ability to undock to see the menu, right? So we're going through updating. Now, this used to be persistently open if you clicked it, but as I move through now, that will dock itself again just to buy that screen real estate back. But you can always click on the hamburger and go ahead and enable that menu again as you navigate through the left vertical icons in the DroneSense web environment. Okay, so let's just give this high-level overview of Operations Hub. And here we do have some current assets in a mission. So again, DroneSense is mission-based, that you, as the user, have the ability to create really an unlimited, nearly an unlimited number of missions. There is a maximum number. No one's ever come close to reaching it. So you create a mission. Now, I was actually training with an agency here in Colorado yesterday, and we were really talking about, the best way to create missions. And we've seen that customers, do some different things, and there's really no right way or wrong way. So we have very large customers that basically break down their missions by teams. And so if you have an entire state flying in the DroneSense ecosystem, they might have a North Division, West Division, East Division, South Division, Within that, they're going to break it down by teams. And so each team is going to have a specific number of missions that are named and accessible to the pilots in that particular team or section of DroneSense. Most of our customers are operating on one single team here, but you can still limit a mission to a specific team if you do have multiple teams. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. So as you look at my mission manager, I've got, probably what, 15 or 18 missions here because, this is a training environment for us. Now, what I recommend and what most customers seem to do is we think about like, what are your operational needs at this time. Many of our law enforcement customers are flying missions like Tactical Overwatch or SWAT. They're flying search and rescue or urban search and rescue. They are flying, either wildland fire or structure fire. They're doing outside agency assist. They're maybe doing traffic accident reconstruction. Anything like that. Special events is a great one. So what I recommend is that you sit down as a team and you really go back and historically look at what types of calls for service is your UAS or drone team responding to, and then build those missions, correspondingly. Now, we do recommend that a mission is built to be, a longer duration mission, meaning that it would be active for some length of time. And maybe you want to do, it by the year 2025 special events, 2025 tactical overwatch, 2025 accident reconstruction. Again, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's really how you want to pull the data back out, because think about the missions as a bucket that those flights are going into. And as you access the flights and missions page, you can click on a mission and see a distribution of flights, all of the information about what occurred within that mission since its inception. So let's go ahead and walk through how to create a new mission. What we're going to do is we're here in Mission Manager. Now, whenever you come into Operations Hub, and guys, I'm just coming back to check here to make sure nobody is in any needs. Go ahead and raise your hand. I'm looking at the webinar chat and the Q&A as well. So please let me know if I'm not seeing your hand raised. Go ahead and let me know if you have a question. You can type it in and I'll try to cover it as we go, or we can save the Q&A until the very end if I don't see it. Okay, so as we come into Operations Hub here, the Mission Manager is going to be undocked or open. Now, if you click on the chevrons here on the side, again, that's going to buy back that screen real estate. If you have numerous assets in the mission, it's just going to be that much easier to have, that real estate if you're on a small screen. So let's go ahead and undock. And here we're going to add a mission. So we go ahead and click plus. Now we have two options. One is create new mission. The other is add mission with code. So again, I was training with an agency here in Colorado yesterday. They were flying under their training mission. They shared that, six-digit code with me. I was logged into my organization. I entered their code. So here, let's go ahead and click at add mission with code next. And I simply entered their six-digit code, said add mission. Now their training mission was visible within my operations hub. Again, different organizations. I wasn't logged into their account. I was logged into my account here, which is the DS East org, and I was able to see their training mission because they opted to share it with me. So that's one way that you can join a shared mission. When we want to create a new mission, we're going to go ahead and click plus, create new mission. Now there are three major tabs on this screen. We've got info, we have sharing, and we have notifications. As I come back to info, you're going to see an asterisk. This is mandatory. You need to name it something, right? So let's call this DroneSense Basic Training 2025 OpsHub 101 right there. Now the ID, this is a field that was a customer request. If there's anything specific you want to enter here, it's certainly not mandatory. Now, this is very important. And one of the takeaways that I want you to remember from today is this. Remember, anything in the DroneSense ecosystem that has a start date will default to a 24-hour end date. So again, we see the start date. I'm here at Mountain Time, creating this mission today at 11:15 a.m. By default, it wants to expire, or it will expire tomorrow, 24 hours after the creation. Now, we do this on purpose because we want customers to make a conscious decision. They want that to be active longer than 24 hours. And there are three things in DroneSense that have a start date that want to default to 24-hour expiration. That is, as we know, the mission itself, the mission sharing code, and the magic video link. Those three items, the mission, magic video link, and mission sharing code, have a default 24-hour expiration unless you make the conscious decision to change it. Okay, so let's go ahead and push that out to 2029. We'll just do a multiple year mission. Again, we have some test COAs in the account. In this case, I'm in Class G airspace. This is not going to be associated with a COA. And the description, we can say, test mission for basic training, whatever we want to call it. And then again, you can put in notes as well. That is not mandatory. Now, what is mandatory is here team permissions. Now, in this DroneSense environment, because it's a testing or training environment, we have a lot of different missions and some creative names I see. But I'm going to go ahead and select all. That this is not going to be limited. Again, the vast majority of customers do have one team. However, for agencies that want to bifurcate or create increased security for the mission details, for all of that information, then you certainly can create a team. And I do often see teams for more sensitive operations like tactical, SWAT, bomb squad, maybe narcotics, whatever it is, that they can create that team, have all the team assignments, and then go ahead and assign that mission just to that specific team to essentially lock out the rest of the organization from having access to that. But in this case, we're going to say select all. And our final choice is whether this is a training mission or not. And I'll say, you bet, when we're in a training seminar, let's call this a training mission, because remember, DroneSense tracks the number of flight hours and flights that are training versus operational. And this is how that is determined, whether the mission is training or not. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. So we've just set the basic parameters of the mission. We're going to come over to sharing. Now, by default, this sharing code is going to be disabled. Again, there's nothing there. So this is a two-step process depending on what you want to enable. All right, so if we click and enable, a lot of information comes up on the screen here. We see, again, that 6-digit code. Now, we already know that this is going to default in 24 hours. You may want the mission sharing code to be live only for 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and push it out to the end of the mission in this case here. Now, if we stop now and create this mission with the sharing code in this status or this state, what we've done is somebody with this sharing code that is a DroneSense customer and you share it with them, they can log into OpsHub like I just showed you, but they will not be allowed to join assets into that mission. So mobile streaming and tracking, think mobile devices, drones, anything like that, that you will not be able to add those assets into the mission. That is the second part of this. So we're going to enable this second pill button. So it says enabling this option will allow anyone with this code the ability to join and share drones and map layers into the mission. And I feel like most customers are opting for that, that they do want that to be, the way that the mission sharing code is most effective for most agencies. Okay, so just to recap, we're creating the mission. We have the info, the sharing, and then finally the notifications. Now, by default, the mission notifications are disabled. I would say the vast majority of our customers, well, no, listen, it is very dependent on the mission, whether the notifications are enabled or disabled. In this case, let's walk through some of the nuance of the mission sharing, of the mission notifications. So we're going to enable. Now we have two triggers. We have drone takeoff, which is the default, but we also have camera broadcast start. And this is really significant because if you think about a drone launching, like the flight record in DroneSense starts really as soon as this prop spin. As soon as we sense the prop spin, that is the beginning of the flight. The drone launches, and then that video feed is going to basically, come into Operations Hub, and that notification is going to go out based on the drone launching. But if you think about doing something different, like mobile streaming and tracking, that you're just using your phones to feed video and location into a mission, or you're streaming the Avata or Avata 2, it doesn't matter, through our screen sharing function. Remember, you can stream the Avata through DroneSense on Android devices right now. So what's going to happen is if your trigger is at drone launch or drone takeoff, that is not going to feed the notification. So if you're only flying assets that are not launching, then you're not going to get the notifications go out. I'm generally recommending a camera broadcast start. I think that's a really clean thing. You know that all assets are going to come in and be shared in that note, or that is going to trigger the notification. So that is my preference right now, generally speaking, is I do like the camera broadcast start. As we move on, we have who to be notified, right? Who needs to receive this notification? So we have groups. Now, in this case, we have built out a series of groups in the OpsHub Contact Manager that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. Or we have the individual contacts. Now, I think there are, maybe 100, 150 people here in this organization. So you can certainly come in and check these individuals one by one. But again, it's really nice to build out that contact group list, which we're going to go over in just a few minutes. Now, the final thing here is limit notifications to one per. By design, we default to 6 hours. We don't want to inundate folks with email or text notifications, right? So we can come down. We could say no limit. This is generally not my recommendation. For training or something like that, that's fine. But operationally, that could lead to just too many notifications happening, during that mission. Because anytime an asset leaves or joins, you have a battery change. Those notifications are going to continue to go out. So, there's no right, there's no wrong. If a customer asks me, Dave, what do you recommend? I'm usually going to fall on 2 hours. I think, one notification every 2 hours to me feels like the sweet spot. But again, that's just my opinion. No right, no wrong. All right, now finally, after all of this information, we can click create. And I'm going to go ahead and click that. So we have just created the DroneSense Basic Training 2025. Oh, and I can't believe you didn't tell me I misspelled OpsHub. So hold on, let's go back in. We're going to go to mission details and standby. We're going to edit that and OpsHib 101. Good Lord. Okay, here we go. We're going to fix that, you guys. That's my 53-year-old eyes here are deceiving me today. We're going to submit those edits. And there you go. I did that on purpose, of course. I wanted to show you all how we could go in and edit the name. So now we have this live mission DroneSense Basic Training 2025. We've set all of those parameters. You're good to go. Okay, now let's talk about really like interacting. Well, there's a second part, so stand by. Before I jump ahead, let's come right back into this. Now, there's one key thing that we have not created that 99% of our customers do want to create, and that is, did that change the name? Stand by. It did. There we go. Okay. So we're going to come back in. So we just created the mission. We set the mission sharing code. We created the notifications. Now, technically, if you were to bring an asset into this mission, which I'm going to do in just a minute, it is going to work. And Brian, I just saw your question for the notification email text. We're going to talk about that. That is set by the individual user, that each user can determine how they want to receive those notifications. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Okay, now what what would happen right now with the state of this mission if we joined assets into the mission? Remember, we have the notification trigger set to camera broadcast start. So if I'm flying in Nevada or I've got a DJI flip here in the background, whatever it is, right, joining with MSAT, the notification is going to go out, but with one significant omission. Remember, we have not created the magic video link yet. The magic video link is separate to creating the mission itself. So as we come to the mission, so what I call the mission banner, that blue banner that gives the name of the mission, we have mission details is this icon. That's what we were just interacting with. The next one over, and this one's easy to remember because it's a chain links. Think links, magic video link, or video link. So here we're going to click on it. So as expected, this mission does not have a magic video link at this point. So we're going to go ahead and simply click create. Now, if we were in person, I'd be asking you, okay, guys, what's the default here? What do we know? Well, it's going to be 24 hours. So in this case, I am going to push it out to 2029. We do have to name it. Now, there's no set way, generally, customers will name the magic video link the same name as the mission, but there's no right, there's no wrong. You can just say master link, whatever you want to name it. So I'm going to say master link 2025 DroneSense basic training mission. Okay, there we go. And we've pushed it out. Now we've created that. Um, do you have to follow? Alan, we'll hit that at the very end. The Fusus integration is going to be a little bit different. That's going to be with the API on the back end, and I'll make sure that you've got my contact information, and we can definitely discuss that offline if it's not something we're going to dig into or have the time to dig into today. So I want to make sure I get that covered for you. That may be offline. Okay, so we have created this magic video link. Now take a look at this. We have the start date, the end date, the views, last viewed date, the QR code. So right here, I can display up this QR code, and any of you are welcome to scan that right now. I'll give you just a second because I am going to put a couple of assets in here momentarily. Speaking of which, I'll get those powered on right now. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to grab my controller, folks. Stand by. Okay, so I've got my RC Pro. We're going to get a few assets into this mission here. Again, the drone is obviously inside. I'm here in my basement office, not able to fly, but we're going to go ahead and at least get that video feed here into the mission very shortly. So let's close that and stand by. I'm going to go ahead and get logged in. Okay, so on my controller now, I see the mission that we just created under the training missions. So we're going to leave my call sign as David Spraggs. I'm going to join. And let's go ahead and join a phone in as well. So I've got an iPhone here, and I'm going to go ahead and open the DroneSense app. Now, remember, you can stream via mobile streaming and tracking on the DroneSense application or on the DroneSense OpsHub application, which is brand new. And we're going to talk about OpsHub Mobile at just the very end of the session today. Okay, so hopefully we've got that in here. And I see a few more questions coming in, folks. Stand by for me. Give me just a minute. Let me get these assets in. And okay, search one, no COA. And stand by. All right, almost there. My cell phone is not liking the internet connection here in my basement. All right, we are almost there. There we go. All right, so we've got, let's see if we can get this phone stable here. Okay, there we go. And let me just come back right there. Yeah, you bet, Alan. We'll get that covered. John, why would you push the dates so far and not just limit it to an operational period or deployment? That is an awesome question. I'm really glad you brought that up. And we actually have some customers that do that. They know that they have a special event. So let's say a 4th of July parade. There is absolutely nothing wrong with, pre-operationally creating that mission. You've got time, you can get in, create the mission, get the mission, the magic video link, the sharing codes, all of that built out prior to the mission. There's no downside of doing that. There's truly not. What we found is, I have interacted with customers that were under the impression that they needed to really create a new mission every time they went out and flew. And so if you think about a SWAT or tactical deployment, something where time is not on your side, it's very quick to create a mission. But again, that's time you may not want to spend pre-operationally creating that mission. So that's why I like the concept of having those buckets that are, longer lasting. Again, John, there's no right way, there's no wrong way, if I answered your question, and we can come back to that as well. Okay, so we have that magic video link. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back click here into the mission manager. And then look, we have active assets. Now, how do we know that we have active assets in all this list of missions? Well, it's really easy. They are going to default to the top of the list, and you're going to see the green of the mission details icon. So that mission details icon right there, it's going to turn green. That means we have live assets. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the mission that we created today, right here. Now, look, like nothing happens, right? So you've clicked into the mission. You might say, well, where is everything? Okay. There is a simple way, two very simple ways to access the missions. It's just a single click right now. So let's come back to this. So again, we have current assets in two missions. I could click the second icon right here. So here we've got settings. Here we've got auto join all missions, drones, and devices. Like this is the everything that is live on your mission list is going to come into OpsHub. That may or may not be appropriate. It's certainly possible you have two separate missions occurring within your jurisdiction at once, and you may not want to see everything, that you're on one mission. So generally what I see are customers clicking into the mission that they are actively engaged in. So in this case, this is our mission. Now, what we want to do is we're going to click the third icon, which is auto join drones and videos right here. We're going to click it. And there we go. We've got that video dock that is opening up. We've got those two video assets now coming into the mission. Now, the reason I like to join a phone into this is because the phone is geolocated. My drone is, within feet of concrete. It's not geolocated. And so at least you can see that phone here. Now, there's a little bit of drift, right? I mean, the phone is probably pulling its location on Wi-Fi and some other factors. So there's a little bit of drift here. I'm sitting kind of in this part of the house, but you can see that, again, asset live in the mission now. Now, as we look at the video dock, there's a few things we can do. So we're going to come over and we have basically the ability to hide inactive videos here. Now, we're going to talk about this video relay, but today you certainly could hide inactive videos as well. And then you have the ability to hide the FPV video as well on an asset like an M30 that has that. In this case, what we want to do is, we could basically make the video go away right there. If we just want to clear that video dock right here, we can click the camera icon again just to bring those back if there was any need that you wanted to do that. Here we can add a column here. So if we had, 4 or 6 or 8 video feeds coming in, that would be the play effect from connected up again. My kids do tell me that our internet is very poor at our house and very much a first world problem. All right, let's see if we're going to get back into this here. All right, there we go. Oh, we've got a couple duplicates here, folks. This is on me. Let me go ahead and just give a quick refresh, stand by. And let's come back in. We're going to join. We're going to click on the assets, and there we go. All right, my apologies about that. So we're back in right now. One question that often comes up is, can you pull that video dock and have the map on one monitor, the dock in another? And the answer is no. Right now, we don't allow you to break that out. However, you could certainly expand the screen into a second monitor if you have your monitors configured correctly in a multi-monitor environment. So it works really well. Okay. So what I'd like to do is I want to show you what I think is a really neat feature. So for example, my phone is geolocated, so we've got to do this on my phone. But if you have multiple assets in a mission, especially in a larger geographic area, it might be hard to understand which video feeds you're seeing correspond to which map assets are in the mission. So we have a really simple way to do that. So I'm going to come down to my asset, which is I've named it, the call sign is search one. So this might be a ground team. You've got drones on Overwatch, you've got a ground team, whether they're tactical or search and rescue. And we're going to go ahead and click this icon right here, which is going to dock that video feed right to the map view as well. So if the asset is moving, that video feed is going to move with the asset and it's going to stay attached to the map asset. And I think that's a great feature in our system as well. If I want to pull that back into the dock, you've got the right icon here, and it's just going to pull right back into the dock. Okay, now let me take a look at time. We are doing well, and I have a lot to cover. So we've talked a lot about, again, the mission details, the magic video link, really talked about the video dock, being able to lock that video feed onto the asset on the map as well. So let's go ahead and move on a little bit. So what I'd like to do is this is, again, let's just go ahead and do this now because I want to make sure we've got plenty of time for this. Um, Over the very, like just a few weeks or maybe a month or two, our engineering team and product team are incredible. We've pushed out some great advances into the DroneSense ecosystem. The customers that I was with yesterday was unaware that we had implemented these changes. So I want to make sure everybody in this training session is aware of it. So two things I'm going to show you. The first thing is here, and this is now ADSB integration into Operations Hub, into that map overview. So we're going to come back into the mission manager. I'm going to click on the settings of the overall settings for the mission. And here we have the drone icon size. You can make a simple icon if you just want the map to be a little simpler. You can show archive missions, hide pilot names, hide inactive drones and devices. But what we're going to talk about right now is here, show ADSB. Now, once you click that, a whole submenu opens and we see a filter. This is our altitude filter, again, and not showing any assets or aircraft over whatever number you put in mean sea level. So in this case, I want to keep this a little bit higher because I want to show you some things here. We're going to go to a local airport near me in Boulder, Colorado. Okay, now by default, I think these are going to be enabled. I had these enabled previously. You might actually, I think the first time you're going to need to enable these as well. It was probably cached on my computer because I just turned off ADSB before the meeting started, but I did have all of these turned on. So the first one, and I'm going to show you this, is the ADSB 2-minute path, and that is literally the expected trajectory based on the aircraft heading and speed. It's going to show you a line 2 minutes in front of that aircraft. The AGL, we're going to show the ADVS, the velocity, and then the aircraft identification. So let's go ahead and save that. We're going to turn that on right now, and it's going to take just a minute to load. But again, I'm northwest of Denver, a lot of aircraft, a lot of airports in this space. So let's go ahead and just zoom in and get a little bit tighter here. We're going to come into the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport, and let's see what's flying here. Let's give that just a minute to load. Not seeing anybody on approach right now, but we've got a number of aircraft in the area. Let's see, nothing particularly low right now. Actually, this is going to be the approach here. So we've got, what is it, Nora 692, Charles Frank at about 1,000 feet AGL, 114 miles an hour. So again, you can choose what you want to see here in OpsHub. And if we come in and adjust those settings, let's say it was just a little bit busy for you, so we can get rid of, maybe the ID and velocity. And let's go ahead and resave that. And let's let that populate again. That's going to make that smaller. Look, we've got a helicopter now here as well. So a lot of our customers are not aware that this is in place. Great feature in DroneSense. Really, really excited to have this. One of the things we take really seriously is aviation safety, and we want to be leaders in the aviation safety space as crewed and uncrewed assets are going to operate in that national airspace just more and more as we continue to move forward here. So, okay. Oh, there we go. And this guy just landed. So, all right. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you, and I'm not seeing any questions there. I can hear like clapping and all the excitement here through this virtual screen. All right. Second thing I want to show you is, and I think this is very exciting as well. I'm going to zoom in just to a part here in West Boulder, Colorado. And I'm going to come down on the right-hand side of the screen. We have a number of different icons, and we're going to come down to the map layers. These are essentially Esri layers, or layers that we pre-populate that we think could be of interest to many of our customers. The one specifically that I want to show you today is right here, the USA NAD, or National Address Database, right here. So it is by default turned off. The visibility is off. So I'm going to go ahead and enable that and give that just a minute. And remember, for those flying the DJI, the V5 drones, the 300s, 350s, 30s, 3s, the address database did come in. Actually, that came in across the V4s and the Autels as well. I was actually thinking of a different feature. So we do have the addresses now visible on the controller. We wanted the addresses to be visible in the web as well within OpsHub. So this is a great feature. So I think our engineers did a great job as we zoom in. I think the address stays at a really appropriate size. It is white bounded with black. So you've got both white and black. So it looks really good overlaid over any of the base layer maps as well. So if I come into one of the other base layer maps here, let's say dark streets, here we go. We'll do streets night. Let's go ahead and dock that. And there you've got that as well. So visible on light maps, on dark maps. And again, I think this is one of the best features that we've had the ability to push out to our customers, really looking for, increasing your operational effectiveness using our software. Now, there is a caveat. And again, I'm sure I've got people from all over the country. Jeff, that's a great question about Canada. Oh, Sean, thank you so much for putting the MSAT up as well. Let me get at a video. There we go. Sean's driving. That's awesome. Really appreciate that. Um, so I'm not sure about Canada. Let me find out on that. And I'm going to put up my email at the end of the session. Go ahead and reach out to me so we can continue to communicate. So the current caveat here for the United States is not all jurisdictions, states and jurisdictions contribute addresses to the national address database layer that we're currently using. We are working with a GIS team looking at increasing the addresses in there. So in Colorado, I'm good. California, there are a lot of gaps in California. We've got gaps in multiple states right now. So more to come on that. We understand how important it is. We want to deliver to the best of our ability to get those addresses in. So again, I'm hoping that you're in an area where those addresses are pre-populated because I really, really like to have this for your operational success. All right. Now, let me go ahead and dock. And what I'd like to do, I'm going to switch back and I want to show you, stand by. I'm going to switch to a different base layer here. We're going to go back to the Firefly imagery hybrid. And since I'm here, we offer a number of different base layer maps. And the map that is used, the hybrid map on the controller, the satellite map, is the Firefly imagery hybrid. So the naming is a little bit different on the web. This is the Firefly imagery hybrid. On the controller, it is the hybrid maps, the satellite and street view map. That is the same map. So if you want the same map, you can do the Firefly hybrid here, and you can do the hybrid on the controller. All right, let me go ahead and dock this. So we have covered a lot of information already. And let's just keep going here, folks. We have about 12, we're down to 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and hit some other points that are, very high level, that are very important to cover. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to start with the contacts manager instead of the map layer manager. We're going to come back to map layer manager actually at the very end here. So if I click on the right-hand side, we have the list of vertical icons. The second icon, which is the dual head and shoulder icon, we're going to click on that, and this is going to open up the contacts manager. I think of this almost like a digital Rolodex here in DroneSense, because if you think about how people get the notifications, that is via text or email. Now, anybody that is invited into the DroneSense account, anybody that can log into DroneSense has the ability to be selected under the mission. Remember, because the notifications are granular to the specific mission. So anybody that's invited to DroneSense with a login, they can get in and set their preferences under their user profile. They can say if they want to get no notifications or if they want to get email and or text notifications. Now, if you want to share video or notifications with individuals that are not invited into the DroneSense app, if they don't have a login into DroneSense, you can absolutely do that. And this is the way that you do it. So you use the contacts manager and you can create, again, this digital Rolodex. There's no limit that I'm aware of the number of people you can put in. But if you wanted to add a contact, and again, this would be a sheriff or, fire chief or chief of police or city administrator, or representative from your health department, whatever it was, anybody that you felt it would be beneficial for them to get an email or text notification, this is where you can enter their information without actually inviting them into the DroneSense organization. So here, we're going to say create new contact, and we're going to say test, and we'll go ahead and put in my last name here. And we're going to do, let's just say hold on here, XYZ at DroneSense.com. And we're going to put in a phone of, let's just say 123 456. Okay. And then we now can select, how does this person want to receive it? Email, a text, and then we can add that contact. So now I've just added that contact in. They can't log into DroneSense. They're not a pilot. They're just somebody that you want to come back to the mission and now add them into that mission. So let's actually do that. We just created a new contact in the OpsHub contact manager, and let's come back into the mission that we created today. So here, we're going to go to mission details. Remember, we've got info, sharing, and notifications. Let's go ahead and click on notifications, and I'm going to edit, and I'm going to go down to contacts. And let's come down all the way here. Stand by. And there we go. There is test sprags. We're going to select test sprags and submit edits. Because remember, just because you have a contact included, if they are not selected under that specific mission, they're not going to receive any notifications at all. Now, the second part of this is creating groups. So you can take groups of, anybody in your contact list. And I do want to show you the overall contact list here. So if I click on this, this is going to show everybody that has the ability to receive notifications. Now, there's going to be a mix because this list is going to show everybody that is invited and has a DroneSense account. And those are going to be the individuals with the photographs or kind of that white coin with the head and shoulders, the gray head and shoulders. If you see that, you know that they have a DroneSense account. If you just see the black coin with the white head and shoulders, that is somebody that was added here in the OpsHub Contact Manager. Now, if I come back to groups, we can create a new group. And let's just say we're going to call this test 1. And we can say, whatever we want here. And then we're going to add group. Now, this is going to open a list of, let me come back. Oops, sorry about that. Let me come back to the groups. We're going to come to test 1, and we're going to add or edit contacts. So here we're in the list of groups. Let me show that again. We're in Contacts Manager, Groups. We're going to find that group that we just created, and we're going to click on it. And now we're going to go ahead and edit or add contacts. And I can just come through and I can select, whomever I want to include in that group. And I'm going to update it. Now, when I come back to the mission manager and I go to mission details, I go to notifications, edit, then I can come down to the group and I can go to test 1 and I can just add that group and instead of having to pick multiple individuals. All right. And stand by. We're going to submit those edits. I'm going to close this. How are we doing? Okay, we got about 10 minutes left. So definitely want to cover a few other things. Okay. We're going to work our way down the list of icons very quickly. Then we're going to really end with the map layer manager. And I do want to give just a few minutes to address some of the questions and answers. So folks, I know we're getting short on time. If you want to, go ahead and drop questions here into the chat, the webinar chat, and I'll make sure I get those covered. At the very end, you're going to have my contact information as well, because I want you to reach out to me if there's something that we couldn't address today. So as we come down the right-hand list of icons in the Operations Hub here on web.dronesense.com, we have a really neat function. This is the magnifying glass, right? So we can enter an address, we can do whatever we want. But what's kind of cool is we could say common name. Let's just do Walmart, right? So you don't have to know the address. This is basically going to geolocate. Here in this case, it's my laptop. And then it's going to list out all of those Walmarts that are reasonably close to where I'm located right now. So if that's something you wanted, you could click on that and it's going to navigate you right, in this case, to Lafayette, Colorado, just a little bit east of me. So that's a great feature here. You can enter lat long. You can enter, again, a physical address. We've got that current location as well. Now, one of the things that is really helpful for our communities that are doing search and rescue or wildfire operations is the measurement tool. You currently can't measure on the controller, but we had a really creative customer in Oklahoma that had a wildfire or brush fire last year. What they did, they got the drone up on Overwatch and they ended up dropping, 15 or 20 markers around the perimeter of that fire. All of those markers came into DroneSense and they were able to see it. So what they did is they used the measurement tool. And here we can do linear measurement. We can just click and we can double click and get that linear measurement, or we can do poly as well. My mouse is a little sensitive to this. Let me get that end one in. There we go. Nope. Okay, that is me. Let's do a new measurement here. And I swear this is my Apple mouse. I have issues with this sometimes. I never do on the Windows machine. It's just Apple. But in this case, let's say we had, again, a brush fire or an area of operation for a ground search team, and we just wanted to know how big it was. So let's just do a rough outline. Let's just measure the lake in this case here. We can do this area measurement on the lake. We'll get this very rough measurement here. All right, here. This is not good, folks, but you're getting the idea. Okay. And then we can come in, and once that is done, we can come down and change the units. So acres. So that lake adjacent to me is about 225 acres. Again, poor example, but you get the idea here. Now, here is going to show you the lat long of where the cursor is overlaid on the map position itself. And I can come down and we can use base map, degrees, minutes, seconds, all of the standard formulas for geolocation here. We've got US National Grid, all of that. We can change that, and we're going to show that just where the cursor is located. Now, the next one is just kind of use precision location. So if I click on it, in this case, it's actually going to use my laptop and I think my Wi-Fi, whatever it's doing, to geolocate me here. And of course, it's showing I'm in the lake, which I'm not, adjacent to it. But again, if you're outside of your normal operational area and you just want to get a quick read of like where you're at, you can certainly click that. Here we've got, of course, zoom in and zoom out on the map. And here we've talked about some of the layers that are available to you. The other one I wanted to show you, we have the address layer turned on, is I do want to show you the UAS facility map. And this is something that's available on the controller as well. But this is basically the zero grid map that's going to give you a deeper understanding if you're operating in controlled airspace. So let's go ahead and come back to the Rocky Mountain Airport just south of me. And again, we can see that zero grid here, the 0, 100, 200, 400. So just a nice visualization if you're impacting or interacting with any of that controlled airspace. Here, as we come down into the Denver metro region, it gets much more complex. Okay. And then finally, we've covered a lot about the Esri about the different layers, base layers that we offer as well. So go through and explore those. Just remember that the Firefly hybrid imagery is going to be the most current that we offer of the satellite maps. What I want to spend the last few minutes on is really, and the reason I'm leaving this to the end is as we work our way through this seminar series for the spring and the fall semester, we're definitely going to talk more about this as we get into planning for special events and things like that. Because I've just got enough time left to do kind of a high layer overview. So we're going to leave that for later, but I want to give you enough to go back and start experimenting and working on this because this is one of our superpowers in my humble opinion. So as we look at the map layer manager in Operations Hub, and let's just kind of randomly choose a section here. So as we look at Map Layer Manager, we have My Feature Layer, Org Feature Layer, Mission, Shared Feature Layers, Esri, and Imagery Layers. Now, for those of you that are new into this world, the My Feature layer is going to be your sandbox. That's what I call it. So you have the ability to get in and drop markers, create polylines, polygons. They're not going to be shared into missions. They're not going to be shared at an organizational or org level. This is just your sandbox to experiment and mess around in. You can't do any harm. And now if you like what you've created, you can export that to an org layer. But again, your sandbox, it's really helpful and really useful. So let's go through this really quick. I want to show very high level. Now, I do have a number of features here in this account. So I'm going to go ahead and I could add a feature to the layer. And if I click plus, I've got markers here. And oh my gosh, what's our final count? I think we're over 1,000 markers right now. So we have all of these different, we've got NIMS. We just added the NWCG markers, which is a huge win for a lot of our customers. But there are so many here. So let's say you wanted something. I'm going to do heli. I'm just going to enter heli. Now it says search result 0, but I need to push enter right there on the keyboard. And now I've got 17 search results, right? I've got heli base, Waterpoint helicopter, aircraft landing facilities, heliport. This is one of the ones I like to use for UAS operations, is just putting in that kind of home position. Here, let's say we had an operation, search and rescue operation here, and we're going to go ahead and drop that right on the map. Now, once we drop that, it's going to name it generically what that marker is called. You can certainly get in and edit that name. It's no problem at all. And then we're going to save it. Okay, now if we come back, remember, this is my feature layer. This is not being shared out to specific missions or to the organization, because remember, any of the markers, the polylines, the polygons that you build that are shared with a specific mission, the pilot on the controller is going to be able to see that data as well, which is so hugely helpful and can be used in so many different ways. Okay, now in this case, we're going to come back and we're going to click plus. We can add a polyline. So I'm going to go ahead now. I have a number of different polylines because we train in this all the time. We have a lot of different polylines. I could select any of these, but the first time you do it, you are going to have to create a custom style. And what you do is click create custom style, and we basically walk you through the process. We say create a polyline to set a style. So we're just going to do 2 points on the map. Double click it. That's it. Now we're going to say next. Then we can pick the line style, the line width. Let's say we want 3 pixels in this case. The line color. Oh, let's say we want yellow in this case. The line end color. Let's just choose yellow as well here. And we can choose all of these different styles and all these different parameters. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say next, and I can name it. We're going to call this test polyline. Okay, and we're going to save it. Now, take a look. This is what I wanted to show you. It drops away from the map. It's gone. So literally you placing it there, all you did is design the polyline that can be reused over and over again. Now, I called that test. That is going to be down here as well. So that's going to be my test. Let's see here. I think that's, there we go. I believe that's going to be the test yellow line there. This is the same thing with adding polygons into the DroneSense ecosystem. If I click it, I have a number that are pre-made that we can reuse again and again, but you're going to have to go through and create that yourself the first time that you do it. Okay, and I'm seeing the time, and we have really run over. Let me just show you a couple of other really high-level things here. Okay, so we have the map layer manager, the org feature layers. This is how I think of it. So with my team, with the city of Boulder, what we recommended when we joined DroneSense as customers back in late 2018 is we worked with our GIS folks, and we actually got the height of all of the high power transmission lines through the city of Boulder. And what I would recommend is you would come to the org level and basically create that, right? Do a bright yellow or red and say power lines 110 feet AGL, whatever it is, throughout your entire city, if that's practical. And then you can go ahead and create that at the org level, and then you can share it out to missions as you see fit. The mission feature layer here. So if I come into, let's see, the David's Colorado training, I just cleared this one out, I believe, here. So I've got 2 targeted searches in this mission. Then I can click zoom to layer extent. And here I've just got those, actually it looks like 3 now. This may be in a different mission, but we've got a few here as well. Now, as we look back and come back in, we have the ability to share feature layers. So you can take any of the feature layers that you've created, you can actually share them with a different organization we will create a custom layer ID, and that person can then import the layers into DroneSense. Wonderful functionality. Esri layers. So one thing I want to hit on is you have the ability to work with your GIS folks, with your jurisdiction, and pull in specific Esri layers that maybe are parcel data or address points or fire hydrant locations or cameras or whatever it is. We do have an article at support.dronesense.com that talks about the layer requirements for bringing those Esri layers into the DroneSense ecosystem. So that's all I can say about that since we're at time. And the last thing I want to talk about are the imagery layers. Now, an imagery layer, and this does require an add-on. It's called the Advanced Geospatial. So the imagery layer allows the user to create or import, whether it's a CRG, the Crisis Response Group, which I'm a huge advocate for their work, or you can go out and fly a Pix4D mission, process that in React or Matic, whatever it is, create a GeoPDF or GeoTIFF, and then you can import that imagery layer here. We basically just map it. So we tell you, you tell us where to find it. You pull that imagery layer in as a GeoPDF or GeoTIFF, and that is going to geo-rectify and pull in that overlayer into DroneSense. Now, the amazing thing is the pilot on the controller can also load that imagery layer as well. And I want to give you just one really quick example here. This is a good one. We'll use the Robotics Summit. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and then we're going to zoom to the extent. And actually, the reason I did this, I was down in Texas last week for the Texas Robotics Summit, which is a wonderful event if you haven't attended it. Let's go ahead and turn that off. So this is the base layer map. This is it. Whomever did this went out and flew a very short mission, survey mission, captured however many photographs, created that ortho in Pix4D, and then we can go ahead and import that imagery layer in. So again, I know we're just a little bit over time. I'm so sorry. I want to come back. And JR, thank you for that as well, for coming back to that. And here we go. So we have a few questions. Okay, will it include parcel and ownership data? No, Alan, it does not. So our address points, there is no parcel or ownership data. It is simply an overlay of the numeric addresses associated with that location. Okay, and yes, I believe that would be, yes, that is confirmed that we do not have Canada in that. That is in the United States only. Favorite list of markers. Great question. Currently, no. And that is a feature request. It is on the roadmap. We know we have many customers that would love to have that functionality, but currently the answer is no. Let's see here. We have, David is asking, has the option to erase polys or at least archive them once we can edit them? You can certainly erase the polygons. And so once I get my information up, go ahead and reach out to me. We can talk about that. Yes, and Alan, I'm so glad you can export a KML, and that's something that I did want to cover. So listen, for those that have to drop, I completely understand. My apologies for my time management today. I lost about 5 or 6 minutes on the front end. My sincere apologies. Let me go ahead and show you how to do that. So we're going to come into the Map Layer Manager, and we are going to go into, let's say, org feature layer here, and let's pick something with some features in it. Here we have Charles's demo. We just have 2 points in this. But what we can do is on this list of icons, we can, here we go. We're going to export all features in that layer. And that will literally export all the features in that specific layer as a KML so it can be overlaid in Google Earth. And that's an awesome question, Alan. I'm really glad you brought that up. Blaine is asking, can Axon body cameras be added into the OpsHub video doc? Not at this time. We're certainly, we'd love to continue to work with Axon. They're a trusted partner and friend of ours. But at this point, the API is one way. So our information can feed into the video respond doc for Axon, but currently their data can't port over into Operations Hub because I know so many customers want that single pane of glass view, but currently the answer is no. There you go. And Josh had a great point as well. The video in a web page. And that's something I did not have time or I did not show today. But those of you that can stay on, let me just show you really quick. And I'm so glad that that came up right here. And this is the ability to bring really any web page into the video dock, i.e. sharing out through the DroneSense video ecosystem. So we're going to come back, and this will be the last thing we cover. I do want to get over here to the very end of the presentation, but we're going to go ahead and come over into our mission. And the last icon right here is share media to mission. And I'm going to set that, and let's just say test and display name test. Now the video source. So you would do a desktop window, and it is going to show, all the things that I have open right now. Here, let's just say, here we go. I'm just searching for Leander, Texas, apparently. And I'm going to go, oh, no, stand by here. Leander, Texas. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and share that in. And we're going to share, stand by. And right now, we just brought that web page into DroneSense. So again, if you can get a video, if you're flying in something, that cannot feed into the DroneSense ecosystem via the mobile streaming and tracking, the capture card, anything like that, you certainly, if you can get it up on a web page, you can add that web page and that video view into DroneSense. So that means anybody with the Magic Video link will be able to watch that as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do, folks, I'm going to hop back over here. And we have questions and comments. Let me come back into slideshow view. You all have been great today. I know a few people have dropped off. My sincere apologies for going long, losing those few minutes on the front end. We're just getting into the swing of things here for the 2025 season. So it's just going to get better from here. Hope you can join us again in 2 weeks. These are held same time every 2 weeks. And here we've got questions and comments. The QR code is for the DroneSense support page that will create a contact actually in your phone. And then my email is the david.spraggs, S-P-R-A-G-G-S, at dronesense.com. Again, David Spraggs at dronesense.com. And thank you so much for attending today. Really appreciate it. We hope to see you back in 2 weeks. Take care and stay safe.